Sam, Rory's former partner, is interviewed by Emanny for his podcast, All Eyes on E. Sam, Rory's former fiancé, was hired by Emanny as a co-host. These guys have an intriguing relationship because they frequently remain friends with their ex-partners, so much so that they let them participate in a business endeavor. I watched the entire program, and I must admit that it was an intriguing moment. What does Sam do when Emanny calls into the pod? Will you fight me? Are you attempting to combat me? I feel as though...
You're not gonna beat my ass.
He's literally FaceTiming me right now, y'all.
We're talking about our pussies over here. And then you cool.
I must have felt the energy.
Our pussy energy, we got some...
Samantha said, did you feel our pussy?
I thought, whoa. There were vibes, as you can see in that video. The atmosphere was at an all-time high. However, I have to admit that Sam was rather skilled at podcasting for her debut episode. And a little while later, I received a narrative about Sam and Rory. Thus, pay attention to how this episode concludes. Another amusing aspect of the entire situation is the reason why some may be thinking, oh, Danny, this is so innocent. In a prior episode of E-Man, Emanny told Sishio, the co-host who had decided to bring Sam on the show, that he wanted to sleep with her friend. So even the back and forth you played wasn't a huge deal.
Keep people like you in the sister boat, because I'm going to probably end up being the brother that just all your friends. Because I know you got good friends.
We got back here so quickly.
I'm merely stating that Sam is a friend of Sky. However, we must maintain clarity. Sam and Slell's episode was excellent. Every episode of the Manny's podcast has been listened to by me. It's one of the few shows I watch from beginning to end. Thus, I believe that EM is doing well overall. He simply needs to figure out how to make the show discoverable, because in my opinion, not many people are aware of it or viewing it. It's usually the most difficult. Let's go on to Rory and Emanny. Rory probably gave Emanny the go. I mean, you can do this, man. It doesn't matter to me. I don't mind at all. However, based on our interactions, I firmly believe Rory is one of those individuals that assures you that everything is all right. Hey, you're free to do as you choose. In the meantime, he has a secret animosity that prevents him from being honest with you because he doesn't want to come off as overly weak or untrustworthy. Many men enjoy or believe in these kinds of manly or street standards, but they don't actually adhere to them. It's more a matter of perception. Similar to the guy who says, I don't care about my ex, it's all right. Then, deep down, they're always crying. These people had been apart for years. Once again, I believe it has been more than 5 years, so it really shouldn't be a problem. However, after watching this episode, I can understand why there would be a problem. Sam mentioned Joe, the engineer, at one point in the pod. The show's engineer is actually Joe, which is amusing, because it's not Joe Budden. You have Joe Budden on your playlist, she said. On this, you've got Joe Budden. On that, you have Joe Budden.
Joe Budden light his cigarette before the record starts. I'm sorry.
I thought, oh my God, we are all aware that Joe keeps an eye on everything. Additionally, he mentioned Sam's presence on the Joe Budden program.
Man, see if you still got it a little bit.
Sam gonna be there?
Who? You nasty.
Hey, yo, you terrible, son.
I'm sorry. Who all gonna be there? That's
No, I heard about it, though.
Nasty.
As you can see, as things become more familiar, you need to be extremely careful about how you incorporate different aspects of your pals, because things may quickly get chaotic. I'm assuming Sam likes podcasts a lot. Man, I have no idea. I'm not suggesting Sam is for some of these. I believe that there are a lot of podcast groupies, people that wish to join these large pods, you know? Perhaps that's how Rory gets Sam. She simply seems to be an avid listener of podcasts. As I mentioned in my previous comment, one of the intriguing aspects of this entire situation was that months ago, during my interview with Rory, I noticed him wearing that strange sweater. I then noticed Bridget Kelly when I was outdoors. I thought, oh, look at Bridget Kelly. Now that I've made videos about Bridget Kelly, I won't be saying hello to her. She most likely said, I don't want to know this dude. However, I visit the WTF studio. As I waited for Rory to arrive for the interview, I said, hey, Rory. Yo, Rory, Bridget Kelly's recording in the other studio, he said as he arrived at the studio. Rory then approaches the other studio and says hi. However, do you know who co-hosted with Bridget Kelly? Sam. So while doing that, Rory bumped into Sam, and then I was interviewing Rory. That only serves to highlight the awkwardness between Rory and me during that particular episode. There was also a great deal of anxiety. Rory returned to the studio, after all. He said, "Danny, yo, how could you couldn't tell me my ex was here?" I had to cooperate after that. I wouldn't interview your former partner, for example. Rory, do you believe I set that up? Do you really believe I would do that? I don't even engage in those kinds of games. That's why I think it's significant that Emanny interviewed Sam or included him in his network. By the way, after Rory was canceled, Sam was all over Twitter saying things like, "Yo, leave me alone because the stuff I got to say will set this whole place ablaze." I apologize, but it seems like someone is hurt. It appears to me that someone intends to disclose what transpired, which is risky when someone is exposed to a platform with a sizable audience. But there's one more disclaimer. I think Sam is raising Basically. How much of an enemy are these guys then? Do they still co-parent the dog? And what on earth become of Basically? Someone must locate Basically. Is Basically all right? Basically is nowhere to be seen. Basically has an unusual case. Why is she not present right now? Rory, Mal, Emanny, and Joe's narratives are all simultaneously changing. This resembles the final season of True Blood. But tell me your thoughts. Do you think this is significant? I'm sure many of you will comment, "Oh, they're adults. They have moved past this." However, their lives remain entwined. You never know if two people will reconcile. I realize that sounds absurd, but even more bizarre things have occurred. As I mentioned, there's a feeling between Emanny and Sam, Sammy. What on earth is this? I will fight you. We are discussing our vaginas. How are you doing, Emanny? We are ruining the show. Emanny will have Sam back on the pod, you know. You're going to watch that program. Wow, Sam, you were so good, girl, he will say. I genuinely believe you have a chemistry with Sayo. So would you like to come back? Gosh, oh gosh. That will occur, I assure you. It's also quite good. I've been listening to this section, I'm telling you. Other than this, I don't particularly like Emanny's content. The relationship he has with Sayo is incredibly appealing to me. Sayo is a bit of a star, in my opinion. She is an elderly woman. She is 40 years old. I thought, oh wow, she doesn't appear 40. This means that you can talk to her about anything, even the most unrelated things. You might say something like, "Yo, I used to play Turok on the N64. Oh my god, I love N64. I used to perform Kirby there." Her ability to make the audience listen to even the most bizarre things is a huge asset. And she's not self-centered, because sometimes people on podcasts insert themselves into stories, and you're like, oh my god, you're so self-centered. Everything seems like she's just kind of a background character in her life, and the way she processes things comes across really nice from her. But once again, it's getting nasty in the podcast universe. We often assume that people grow out of certain cycles, and I'll have to keep an eye on this, because I could easily see a situation where Joe Budden's co-host of his friend's podcast, Sam and Sayo, had such a strong chemistry that Emanny would think, I want to make Sayo a member of the show, and I could see that taking place. But since podcast relationships frequently appear closer on camera than off, we will also need to keep an eye on whether Emanny and Sayo remain together for an extended period. Emanny would now ostensibly respond to the criticism he received on Twitter for interviewing Sam, Rory's ex. It was more of a reaction to the Joe Budden community's discussion about how this might have been offensive. Let me read what he said then. I've been amiable, courteous, kind, and supportive to people I've met and associated with through the JBTV community for years, even though there have been times when they have tried to minimize my character in order to fit in. I have to take responsibility for that. I'm pretty sure he's talking about how people are criticizing Iman's character for speaking with Sam. I'm not sure though, because Emanny left Spaces, which suggests to me that the stories from Spaces continue to affect this guy. So fan comments still have a significant impact on this guy. I thought he was kind of over this. I thought he had developed into someone who was just expanding his network, but I've learned a lot from this tweet. Okay, everyone, that concludes my video for now. Don't forget to listen to Iman's pad. Everyone is focused on E. He says he wants to change the name. Be careful, dog. As you know, Joe made a mistake because of you.